Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Welcome to Ask Amy from What Fresh Hell, laughing in the face of motherhood, solving your parenting dilemmas one question at a time. This week's question came from our very active Facebook group, facebook.com/whatfreshhellcast. Moms answer and ask all kinds of questions for each other on there. So if you're not part of that group, come join us. Anyway, Jennifer in the group asked, any thoughts on how to get my 8-year-old son to listen or read anything outside his go-to genre? Jennifer, you don't specify what genre that is, but I'm going to suspect it's the Captain Burp-a-Lot and the Poopy Pirates from Booger Town kind of stuff, which didn't exist when I was growing up, but it definitely was all both of my boys wanted to read when they were that age. My overall piece of advice is from one of their grade school teachers, because I was talking to her about this. How do I get them to read anything that isn't that? And her response, which surprised me, was that she didn't care. She wanted them to read, and the boys love reading those books, and she loved that they were reading, and who cares? Let them read as much of that as they want to. So that is comforting in a way, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. But yes, at some point you do have to diversify slightly. And so here are some things that have worked for me. The thing you have to keep in mind, speaking of education professionals, is that kids first have to learn to read before they can read to learn. We, as grown-ups and older kids, read about things that they're interested in. But when you're young, you're still learning to read. And I don't just mean in the kindergarten, first grade kind of way. Some kids, even still like second grade, third grade, older than that, are still decoding, really working as they read. And so the subject matter itself has to be really enjoyable, really enticing, really funny, whatever it is, because it's still hard work for them. So your kid might still be a little bit in that phase anyway. As he becomes a more confident and fluent reader, it becomes easier to help your kid find books that are about the things that they're interested in. Volcanoes, whatever. I remember one of my sons got really into Pompeii. There was a popular song about Pompeii, and I told him what that was, and he was fascinated. So we found a book about it and then another book about it. Really, really cool stuff in the world that you can get them interested in. There's a series of nonfiction books called You Wouldn't Want to Be. And it's like, you wouldn't want to be a peasant during the French Revolution. You wouldn't want to be living in Salem during the witch trials, stuff like that. And they deliver, with funny, gross out details and stuff, tons of history. And I think that those are a great resource for this kind of kid to move towards something a little more sophisticated. So check those out. If they're reading about the New England Patriots or kitty cats, as long as they're reading, it doesn't really matter. The trick is, I don't have to tell you, you're pushing back against decreased consumption, right? I know I read many fewer books than I used to when I didn't have a phone in my hand, and all of us are fighting the same battle. So modeling reading in front of your kids is also really potent. And it's not reading an article on your phone. It's not scrolling Facebook. It's putting the screens away, letting them see us use, whether it's a cookbook or it's an article in a magazine, just like reading on paper. And if you can set aside a reading hour, a reading time, family silent reading, my kids' school calls it DEAR, drop everything and read. Give it a shot. Call it something cool. Make it funny. Make it family. Make it we're doing it too, not just the kids. When I was little, in the summertime, I mean, not little, 4th, 5th grade, I can remember my big summer's day activity was walking to the local library branch and handing back in the several books that I had read and getting some construction paper leaves put on my branch of the summer reading tree. And I wanted so much to make that branch look just so full of construction paper leaves. I know there was a prize at the end. It was probably like ice cream or something. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like an ice cream party at the library. That was secondary to me to seeing this visual proof that I had read all these books. And so that's something else you can try in your house if you can't get to the library this summer, of putting it up, stickers, charts. And yes, maybe you do have to go for ice cream at the end, but something hanging in the middle of the house where your kid can see that you're proud of the books that he has read this summer. It might get you somewhere. And then there's a library. A lot of us don't go to libraries anymore because there's Amazon, there's Kindles, there's everything at your fingertips, and who's reading anyway? But taking your kids to the library where they have a card and they can pick out as many books as they want can be really, really powerful. And I think also that they can give up on a book. If they're 10 pages into a book and they don't think it's that interesting, there's another one. Try something else. Find something you like, that they can be in charge of their choices and not stuck with something hard or boring. That also might make it a little bit easier. It doesn't sound like your kid is a reluctant reader, but in case they are, one thing that has worked for me is to get the audio recording of a book and the book and have my reluctant reader read along with the voice. That really helps too. Try all these things. Something will work. If they are reading Captain Underpants in the meantime, hooray, good for you. You're already winning. Jennifer, let us know how it goes. Send us your parenting questions and we might answer yours next. Email us questions@whatfreshhellpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.
Close your eyes. Focus. Listen to work getting done with Monday.com. Relax as AI does the manual work, while your teams are aligned on a single source of truth. Feel the sensation of an AI work platform, so flexible and intuitive, it feels like it was built just for you. Notice you're limitless. Now open your eyes, go to Monday.com, start for free, and finally, breathe.